Okay, let's discuss the applications of integration by tackling plane areas first. So suppose we have this graph of any function f of x. So let's say this is the Cartesian x and y axis, x and y, and we have a function. So let's consider this curve. Of course, continuous siya doon at each side. And this is the graph of a function f of x. And we want to determine the area of a certain region under this curve, or it could be at the right of the curve or under the curve. So suppose we wanted to determine the area from this point or that level up to here. Okay, so let's say this distance is a, and from the origin this distance is b. So therefore, the coordinate of this point is of course a0, and the coordinate of this point is b0. We wanted to find out the area under this curve. So let me shade this area. So we wanted to find the area under this curve. Pwede din natin i-label na lang lahat, no? We could also label this point as what? What would be the coordinate of this point? Do you have any idea? And also this point. So let's start with this. What is the coordinate of this point? That would be this and this, right? So that is A. Anong pares? What is the value of y? Remember that this is f of x, so therefore, pares niya is f of A. Okay? And of course, this point here is B, f of B. Ganon. Okay. Now, how do we determine the area enclosed by this region, the area in this region? The area enclosed at the area below this curve from this point to this point. So we do that by just imagining strips of rectangles. Okay, so I could consider a vertical strip. Let's say this vertical strip, and this strip is so thin, sobrang thin nitong strip na to. Sa sobrang thin or sa sobrang nipis ng strip na to, its thickness is up almost zero or approaches zero. Right? So that means this thickness is too small that it approaches zero. And that because very small iyang thickness, I'll call that dx. Bakit dx? I'll use another ink. So dx, because that is a very small change in x lang dire. That is along x naman, di ba? Along x-axis. So therefore, ang thickness niya is equivalent to a very or incremental change in x. Okay? Then, of course, this would be y, right? Because this point is xy, no? This point is xy. That is a point within the curve. And we know that for this function, if we define the function, that would be y equal to f of x, right? And that is very that's very basic. Now, we could imagine this whole area as the integration of these strips or small areas or very thin areas. Meaning, if we consider a strip here and another strip, manipis na strip dito, or another differential area dito, another differential area up to this point, then if we integrate all these areas, the result is the whole area. So yun lang ang concept dito. So therefore, we could just say that the area is just equal to the integration of the differential area. So I'll call the differential area as dA from this point A to this point B, from A to B. Ganun lang. So we just interpreted the situation, or just we just expressed the situation into a mathematical expression or equation. We have the area equal to the integration of the differential areas. That means the strips or the vertical strips, right? from this point A, that means along the x-axis, this point A to point B. Okay? Now, halimbawa, gumamit ako ng dito. Gagamit ako ng horizontal strip. Let's say, what we are trying to get the area of is itong area naman dito. Itong area. So, I will be using horizontal strips for this. Horizontal strips. So, therefore, what would be this thickness kung horizontal strip ang gamitin natin? Anyone? That would be dy because these are small changes along the y-axis. Okay? And what would be our limits from here to here? So, ano yung mga upper and lower limit natin gagamitin? Gagamitin. From here to here. Anyone? So, yung limits natin is from f of A to f of B because yung movement ng strips natin is along the y-axis na. So, if along the y-axis na, that would be dy, ang differential thickness, and the movement is along the y-axis. So, mga ordinate yung gagamitin natin. So, these ordinates. But since our problem is this, vertical strip yung ginamit natin. So, therefore, this is dx, and we are moving the strips from this point up to that point. So, we have this equation now. The total area or the area is just equal to the integral or the integration of the differential areas from this point of the x-axis to this point in the x-axis. Ganun lang. So, nag-interpret lang ta. So, now, area could now be expressed as the integral, again, from A to B. How do we find, or how do we get the area, the differential area? Or in other words, how do we compute the area of this strip? Remember, this is just a rectangle. How do you compute the area of a rectangle? Okay, so therefore, what is the area of the strip? That would be, y dx. So therefore, area is just equal to y dx. So yun. We can now solve for the area using this formula. The area is just equal to the integral of y dx as from A to B. Okay, let us try this problem. Find the area A of the plane region lying above the x-axis and under the curve y is equal to 3x minus x squared. So, if expert na kayo sa analytic geometry, you can just readily graph this, di ba? Madali lang to i-graph. But anyway, you can just refer to your Desmos application to see the graph of this curve. So, let me graph this curve first. So, the area of the plane region lying above the x-axis and under the curve. So, let us first draw the graph of this curve. So, we have y is equal to 3x minus x squared. So, what is the form of this? What is this? What is this graph? This is a graph of if na-recall ninyo sa analytic geometry, there is a parabola opening downward. So, let us, sige. Consider y is equal to 3x minus x squared. Okay, so this is the same as y is equal to negative x squared plus 3x, or y is equal to negative x squared minus 3x, and by completing the squares, we'll have by completing the squares, that would be what? This is x squared minus 3x, so plus 9 over 4. So this is y. Remember, we subtracted y over 4 there, so mag-subtract din tayo dito ng 9 over 4. So therefore, this is in the form of the parabola y minus 9 over 4. That's equal to negative, this is x minus 3 halves squared. So, yung HK natin, or the vertex, is at 3 halves, 9 over 4. So, that would be 3 halves, that's 3 over 2, so there. Then 9 over 4, that would be, so therefore, this parabola is like this. Okay? Sige. Then this vertex is 3 over 2, 9 over 4. Okay? And what we are trying to find here is the area above the x-axis, under the curve. So, that means etong area. Okay, let me use my highlighter. This area here. this area. So therefore, our boundary here is from this point. Remember that this is 0, 0, that's the origin, to this point. What would be this point? What would be this point? How do we get the coordinate of this point? Anyone? How do we get the coordinate of this point? Remember that this point is at the x-axis, or this is an intercept. How do we get the x-intercept? This is an x-intercept, diba? And we have the function. So, mano ni masulod ang analytic geometry, pre-calculus, 3x minus x squared. So, 3x minus x squared. So, how do we compute? Okay, that is a point where y is equal to 0 because it crosses the x-axis. And all points in the x-axis, 0 ang y. So, therefore, you just equate this to 0. We'll have x times 3 minus x equal to 0. So, we have x is equal to 0 and x equal to 3. So, therefore, ang x equal to 0, kanima na siya. So therefore, wrong ang akong ka-drawing. Edi adjust natin. Ito pala yung drawing natin. Ito. Because 0 is also an intercept. So, let me correct that. Because di ko drawing into scale. So, that's why yun yung nangyari. So, therefore, 0, 0, and also 3, 0. So, therefore, our boundary is from 0 to 3. Okay? And now, if we make a vertical strip, this strip will move from this point up to this point, right? And how do we compute the the area of the vertical strip? This would be our differential area. And remember that this point is any point in the graph with coordinate xy. That's any point xy. Diba? It could be right here. This is still xy. Right? So we just sample this as our location of the vertical strip. Of course, the thickness of the strip is the x, right? And this, pila man ang height of the strip. Remember that this point is x, y, right? So therefore, this is y. Hence, ang atong equation, ganun pa rin. Area is equal to the integral of the differential area, which is y dx from 0. So we started from here, 0 to 3. From 0 to 3. So, we'll have now area is equal to the integral from 0 to 3 of y. Ang sa to atong y? Atong given na y is 3x minus x squared. So, y is 3x minus x squared dx. And wala na siyang ka-challenge. So, I'll have area that is equal to 3x squared over 2 minus x cubed over 3 from 0 to 3. Remember, kung mag-substitute tayo ng 0, ma-cancel out lang siya. So, mag-minus 0 lang tayo dyan. So, therefore, area is just, if we substitute 3 dito. So, we'll have 3 times 3 squared over 2 minus 3 cubed over 3. And this would be equal to, that's 27 over 2, tama ba? 27 over 2 minus 27 over 3, that would be 9. So, pila na siya? 9 over 2. So, the answer is 9 over 2 units. The answer is 9 over 2 square units. So, let's find the area bounded by the curve y squared minus 3x plus 3 equals 0 and the line x equal to 4. So, this is a parabola opening to the side, actually to the right, because if we transform this equation into y squared is equal to 3x minus 3. So that means y squared is equal to 3 times x minus 1. So this is a parabola opening to the side. And latus rectum, 4 times length of latus rectum 3. Then the vertex is at 1, 0, right? Because h is 1 and k is 0. Okay. Kainom pa mo, ana? That's y minus k squared equal to 4a x minus h. Diba? That's a parabola open to the sides. To the right, kung positive ang 4a. Okay, then if we graph this now, that would look like this. So the vertex is at 1, 0. So let's say this is 1 unit from the x-axis. Then we have a line x is equal to 4. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. So let's draw a vertical line right there. Ano ba yan? Okay. So this is now the line x is equal to 4. Right? And our parabola is opening to the right. So therefore, we'll have this. Symmetrical naman yung parabola. So, wait. Let me move na lang this here. Ayan. So, since symmetrical yung parabola, that is a little something like, it looks a little something like that. Ayan. Okay. Then we could now use a vertical strip. Either, pwedeng ganito, yung strip natin. Pero din, eto na lang, then we'll just multiply the area using these strips by 2. Right? Because symmetrical yung area niya dito sa area niya dito. So, just multiply that by 2. I could also use horizontal strip, but that would be complicated because that would be bounded by 2. That would be an area bounded by 2 region that is by 2 curves. This straight line and this function curve. Okay, kanina man siya. So, I'll just use a vertical strip. So, I'll consider this vertical strip. Of course, the thickness is dx, and this, if this point is xy, this would be y. Now, let's set the boundaries. We started from here up to here, so let's just get the coordinates of these boundaries. So, recall that this point is a vertex, that would be 1, 0. And how about this point? We know that at this point, x is equal to 4, right? So, 4, unya, what say pares? But it doesn't matter, no? So, we just substitute it here. Pero actually, kahit di na, 4, but for the sake of having a value, having a coordinate, ito lang isolve. So, y squared is equal to 3 times 4 minus 1. So, therefore, y squared is equal to 9. So, y squared is equal to positive and negative 3. So, therefore, of course, this is the part na positive 3. And this part is 4, negative 3. Yan, because the answer is, sorry, this should be y is equal to positive negative 3. That's it. So, our equation now for the area is just area is twice the integral of this strip. Twice siya because we have two areas na identical or symmetrical. So, y is twice of the strip, the integration of the strip y dx from 1 to 4. Yun lang. So, let's solve now for the area. So, therefore, we'll have area is equal to twice the integral of y is, remember, that's square root of 3x minus 1. Tama ba? Minus 3. Square root of 3x minus 3 dx. Okay, from 1 to 4. So, area is now equal to twice of, how do you get the integral of this? Ano pwede gamitin? This is a case of u raised to n. Okay. So, ang atong u, or our u here is 3x minus 3 raised to n plus 1. N is 1 half plus 1. 3 halves over 3 halves. But wait, there's more. This should be 3 dx, right? Because kani 3x man. So, 3 dx, so multiply this by 1/3. So, this should be 2 over 3 dito. Ayan. So, okay na tayo? Okay na tayo. And, of course, 3 halves, that would be 1 over 3 halves, that would be 2/3. Okay? Mamaya na lang. From 1 to 4, sorry. From 1 to 4. Simplify muna natin. That would be 2/3 times 2/3, right? Tapos, raised to 4 pala. No, not raised to 4. From 1 to 4. Sorry ha, baka ma-confuse kayo na dapat ganito yung pagkakasulat ko. Ito. Kasi bracket din, baka i-solve ninyo, erase ninyo. What I mean dapat is ganito. It should be just a bar here from 1 to 4, then i-bracket ko to siya. That means this whole value ang multiply by 2/3. Okay, so rewrite lang natin ganyan. So therefore, that would be 3 times 4 minus 3 raised to 3 halves minus 3 times 1 minus 3 raised to 3 halves. So area is 4/9 of this. So that would be, anong mangyari dito? 12 minus 3 is 9. 9 raised to 3 halves, that would be square root of 9 cube. So 27, tama ba? 3 minus 3, 0. So cancel out na. So 27 na lang siya. So 27 over 9 is 3 times 4, that's 12. Tama ba? So the answer is 12 square units. That is the answer.